Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally doesn't work. And thank you for joining in for another Friday evening live stream. What's happening, Cowboys Talk? How are you doing tonight? I am great. Oh, wait. We have a new feature here tonight. Hold on. We can't start the show just yet. Not until we go. Bada bing. Thank you very much, Yvonne. I got to tell you, I love it. We are now open for business. What's up, Lewis? Lewis, man, the Dallas Cowboys. That's what's always up, man. I got to tell you, I wake up first thing in the morning, and the first thing I do is roll over and roll over and get close to my wife and all that. And then the second thing I do is thinking about the Dallas Cowboys. I go through and I check my all the media and everything else, see if something happened in the middle of the night, because you know with the Dallas Cowboys, you literally cannot sleep on them. The Dallas Cowboys always have something going on, so it makes my job real easy. But I got to tell you, I am ready for the season. And I know we got a long ways to go to get there, but just think, next weekend is Memorial Weekend. What's happening, Sandman? Sandman, I know it's 90-some degrees out in the backyard. You and the wife are getting tipsy here listening to the Joe Boo Sports Report. In fact, you've got my blooper from a couple of weeks ago where I thought the camera was off and kind of went through on some of the trolls. I'm curious. I have so many fans from other teams. Eagles, Giants, a couple of Redskins show up from time to time, but they're pretty much gunshot because they haven't had any success against the Dallas Cowboys in a long, long time. But I'm curious if other YouTube channels with other teams have so many of you guys on them. I mean, literally, I don't like the Eagles. I'm not going to go over to somebody else's channel. What kills me is when you get haters that literally write a comment that's like war and peace. It's like, ain't nobody got time to read that kind of hate. It really drives you crazy. But, you know, it is what it is. Everybody is welcome here. The only thing I ask, because we had a little bit of an incident last week with a jackass, and you can tell me I'm an idiot. I'm grown. I'm a man. I could take that, okay? But understand, it's not just me that's in here. There's all of the great fans that's out there. How you doing tonight, Virginia Finest? J Mac, Eric, Trevor, Ruby, Brian from SoCal. Brian, I have not, listen, this weekend, guys, all that stuff is going out. It's been crazy. It's been raining like crazy and everything. So I've been working on getting myself caught up. I'm caught up where I am going to go through. I wish I could pan the camera. No, actually, I don't. The place is still a mess. I still have all these T-shirts from the draft and everything else that are over here. I have all these autographed T-shirts from the 2 autograph shows. I got to get those in the cases and put those out to you guys. But I'm going to get them done this weekend in the mail by Monday. So don't worry, your stuff is coming. But there's some things that kind of cross the line. Understand, we have young kids that are in here, 10, 12 years old, that have been following the show, for a long time. We have some wonderful ladies like Jackie and Sarah and all that. So keep your comments at least, realistic. When you go through and you talk about Dak Prescott should be dead like his mother, come on. That's just cross the line. You can say Dak Prescott may not be the right quarterback for the Cowboys. You can say he sucks, but come on. Let's keep it real. But the thing I don't understand is the hate for Dak Prescott. And maybe it's just because he is a Dallas Cowboy quarterback. Because I remember back in the days of Roger Staubach and Craig Morton. It was the guy who was on the bench was the most popular one. I remember Danny White and Gary Hogaboom. Same kind of a deal, They didn't like each other, but the fans, we want Gary Hogaboom. We're tired of, of Danny White. Even with Troy Aikman, there was Steve Walsh there. So maybe that's just what it is with Cowboy fans, that we just have some fickle ones. But even, I think, sometimes if you hear something enough times, you begin to believe it. I honestly believe that because we always heard that Tony Romo was a choker. Yet it turned out he had more comeback victories than anybody else over 10 years. But that's not what the narrative was. You always heard the talking heads that Tony Romo's a choker, he can't play in December. Well, quite frankly, if you looked at the numbers, Tony Romo actually played pretty good most of the time in December. It was the defense that kind of came back downhill. Take a look at DeMarcus Ware's stats. DeMarcus Ware literally had the majority of his sacks, 75% of his sacks, the first half of seasons, and only 25% in the second half. Go look it up. So when you start talking about the team failed in December, it wasn't just Tony Romo. It was the team. And the way you listen to some of these shows, first things first, Chris Carter. And then sometimes I think they say these kinds of things just because it gets us to react. It gets you to cover it. When they said that Dak Prescott is about the 14th best quarterback in the NFC, I'm not saying he's Aaron Rodgers. Okay, although against Aaron Rodgers, he's actually had better numbers in those 2 games. But be that as it may, that's just 2 games, and that's not a whole career, even though Aaron Rodgers didn't start playing till his 4th season. I'm going to debunk this stuff, and I know there's some people out there that just say, you're just a Dak Prescott lover, you're just swinging from his, whatever. But seriously, I think you guys listen to ESPN and all of these things over and over again. Did we have a bad stretch of football the second half of the season? Yeah. But here's what me first. How you doing tonight, Sarah? The arguments that you hear about Dak Prescott. Well, he can't win without Zeke Elliott. He's a nobody without a running game. Okay. Tony Romo's best season, statistically. Actually, he only had 3,600 yards passing. The team that should have been a Super Bowl team, a team that was actually very balanced, where teams didn't know, do we cover DeMarco Murray, who had 1,845 yards, led the NFL in rushing, or do we worry about one-on-one coverage with Des Bryant or, Terrence Williams and these guys? When you looked at his QBR, his best QBR was with the running game. And they say, well, it's just because he's got an offensive line. Yeah, well, true. That offensive line keeps your quarterback upright and doesn't leave his spleen on the field or his collarbone or his backbone. You got to have somebody block. And when you look at games where quarterbacks get sacked 8 or more times, you know what the winning percentage is? 5%. Nobody wins when the quarterback is getting sacked 8 times. I don't care if it's Ben Roethlisberger. I don't care if it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't care if it's Matt Ryan. They don't win if you can't protect the quarterback. Okay. And added to that argument, 2014, great season. DeMarco Murray was fantastic. Once we lost Tyron Smith, arguably one of the best players on our team, and Zeke Elliott, that's 2 of your best players on the team. Hadn't actually planned on taking any calls. I'm not sure if it's going to work very well, but we'll take one.
Call from.
See if we can get the volume up on it.
Accept, press 1.
You're on Joby Sports Report. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. I could hardly, I'm going to need you to speak up a little bit because I can hardly hear you, and unfortunately I can't turn it up any louder in here. Go ahead.
All right, sorry about that. So basically, um, I did a debate about Dak Prescott, and Dak beat Cam Newton in win percentage, safety
Yeah.
percentage, passer rating, and touchdown to interception.
Oh, I was actually going to get to
He
that
also
too.
beat
I was going to
Carson Wentz.
debunk all the arguments because it drives me crazy, and I'm hoping you guys can hear it. Unfortunately, I still have to figure out how to amplify the cell phone because it's just not really that loud when it goes through the mixer. But you're 100% right because everybody keeps saying that Dak Prescott, he's a bum, he's a nobody, he's no good. But I'm sitting here going through. When you look at Cam Newton, he had 22 touchdowns, passes, 16 interceptions. More interceptions than Dak Prescott. Everybody, Dak Prescott's a turnover machine. You look at Eli Manning, only 19 touchdown passes, 13 interceptions, and only averaging 6.1 yards, per completion. So the numbers, I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the NFL yet, but he's far from being he needs to go if he doesn't have a super season. You know what I mean?
Right. And what people also forget is that Dak doesn't have the best defense in the world, and he lost not just Tyron Smith this year, but Doug Free
Right.
and
Ron Leary.
Ronald Leary.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 all-pro offensive linemen that he lost in 1 year.
Right. And that's the thing. And, when you lose players of that caliber, there's going to be a step down. Thank you very much for the call. Like I said, I've got to work on this thing, getting the volume somehow with the cell phone through the mixer. But thanks a lot for calling. That's the thing that the next point was, look what happened to us in 2015 when we lost our best player on the team, on the offense, Tony Romo. And I know you guys just say, well, that's the quarterback. That's not the same thing. Well, you lost Zeke Elliott for some time, and you lost Tyron Smith for some time. Well, brethren, I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead, and this is going to be tonight. So, if you want to tune off, that's okay. Let's tune off. But I'm getting sick and tired of all these people that are just not at least giving the guy an opportunity. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm going to stand up for the guy. I'm going to at least try and set the narrative straight so at least you guys Brian, actually, here's the thing. The cell phone actually goes through an iRig, and the iRig actually ties into the mixer, and that way I hear it in the headphones, and you can also go back and forth with it. But for whatever reason, like if I just record videos and stuff through it, volume is fine. But when I take calls in through it, it's just the volume is turned up all the way, but it just will not get any louder. So I've got to figure out what I can do on that, because I even have the gain all the way up on that. But give me some time and I'll get it straightened out. But the thing with Dak Prescott, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to set it straight, because so many people will say Dak Prescott just sucks. What's your evidence? Yes, we went through a bad streak. But when we lost Tony Romo, we still had a good running game. We still had a great offensive line, and we won one game. In Jason Garrett's career, he's only had 2 seasons winning back-to-back. Both of them with Dak Prescott. You got 22 wins in 2 seasons. And so when you look at the numbers, I'm not saying that last year was great. The second half, terrible. First half was good. If you can get that first half all season, then you're great. But he'll learn. And the guy wins wherever he goes. It's a fact. Everybody always doubts him, and I think he feeds off of that. Here's the thing, Cleveland Brown. How is it a make or break season for him when he's got 22 wins under his belt? When he's got better numbers in a down year than Eli Manning, Derek Carr. Derek Carr's numbers exactly the same. Nobody's saying this is a make or break season for Derek Carr. Why is that? Explain that to me. Dak Prescott, 86 QBR last year. Derek Carr, 86. Derek Carr, 6.8 per completion. Dak Prescott, 6.8. Dak Prescott, 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 5 of them were pick sixes, but they're off hands of players. Derek Carr, 13 interceptions. almost identical numbers. Yet Dak Prescott is the only quarterback who's the worst quarterback in the NFL. How come nobody talks about Derek Carr? And add to Dak Prescott's 6 touchdowns to that. So he's actually responsible for 28. So what is it about Dak Prescott that makes him the worst quarterback in the world, that guys can have worse statistics and they're better? Nothing to lose. I will agree with you 100%. That goes back to coaching. We do not adjust well. Now, that's a totally different ball of wax. Unfortunately, we go in with great game plans, but if we have to alter, we're screwed. You're right. The Eagles, they were loaded this year. They ended up losing Carson Wentz. They had Nick Foles step right in. You look at Minnesota, who's on their third-string quarterback. Boom, they adjusted. You look at the Texans in 2015 that took a Brandon Weeden and worked with them. That goes back to Jason Garrett and the same mistakes that they've been able to make in all the time. Sandman, hey, that's another one of those things that people say, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback. I say pump the brakes. 7 games is not really enough to tell if a guy is a great quarterback or not. Remember Scott Mitchell, those of you guys that are my age? You remember Scott Mitchell, who took over for Dan Marino in Miami? Whoa, everybody. Scott Mitchell, he's a baller. Played about 6 or 7 games. The Detroit Lions signed him to a mega deal. Couldn't do jack. So I'm not ready to say Jimmy Garoppolo is the real deal. Now, I will say he studied behind a great quarterback and he studied behind a great coach. That alone will help make a guy better. I mean, look what they did for Matt Castle. But we'll see after there's a little book out on him how he does the second year. Jason Witten. Well, that's going to be a big shoes to fill right there. That's one of those things that I'm still wondering, where in the world is Rico Gathers? I have heard next to nothing other than Rico saying that he wants to be the best tight end of all time. Haven't heard much of him in the workouts. I mean, I know they said he's cleared with the concussions and stuff. Heard some of his rap music. But I'm trying... Yeah, Scott Mitchell did flop in Detroit. Yeah. But everybody kept talking about how good Scott Mitchell was. But once he got out of Miami, away from Don Shula, he couldn't do anything. So that's what I was saying about Garoppolo. Let's wait and see a little bit more there. Yeah, that's possible. But here's the thing, Cleveland. I'm not sure that that's going to be necessarily the case. Because here's the thing. When you say that you're going to get rid of Dak, okay, fine. Let's say Dak has a season like he just had here. And you guys want to say, let's get rid of him. What you bringing in? Where are you getting the quarterback? Did you see what it costs just to move up a couple of spaces in the draft to try and draft a guy? How many picks you are willing to spend to gamble on another quarterback? Now, if the team fails, if it ends up being that Zeke Elliott runs great, the offensive line does its job, defense plays better, and Dak plays like he did the second half of the season, okay, I can see where you're at. If it ends up being the whole offense struggles, I mean, we have problems again in the offensive line. We can't bust a grape, where Zeke Elliott is still only averaging 4 yards a carry as opposed to 5 yards a carry. Then all of a sudden you get a little leeway. Then you start looking at the coaching. Because take a look at, say, the Rams. You don't think that the Rams, after the first year of Jared Goff, had buyer's remorse? You had supposedly a good coach there. A guy who had Steve McNair, a guy who went to the Super Bowl before. Jared Goff couldn't do jack crap. But look what a change of coaching did for him. Jared Goff still has weaknesses, but What his coach did was find out what this guy's good at. Let me put him in a position to win. Let me get the running game going as well, because that will take pressure off of the quarterback. So all you guys that are saying, oh, well, Jared Goff's so much of a better quarterback, take a look at the running game. Take a look at Philadelphia's, as everybody keeps talking about. Carson Wentz was fantastic. Take a look at Philadelphia's running game and what their offensive line did. There's a direct correlation of being able to run the ball, control the clock, and protect the quarterback in winning. If you can't protect the quarterback and you can't run the ball, you become one-dimensional. I don't care who you are. We've seen it with Tony Romo, where we were 8-8, 8-8, 8-8. Why? Offensive line wasn't that good. The running game wasn't there. Once you got a running game going in 2014, look what you were able to do. There you go. There you go, Justin. Great point. 21 interceptions. Wait a minute. 23 fumbles in 28 games. Well, are you sure that one's right on that one? 21 interceptions and 23 fumbles? I don't think that one's quite right. I think you're a little off on there. That might be total numbers. Well, here's the thing. First season of Dak Prescott, 4 interceptions, fantastic. 26 touchdowns plus 6 rushing touchdowns, fantastic. Okay, so he came back down to earth for one season, and everybody's ready to jump strip. But be that as it may, I'll leave it right there, because I know a lot of people, it doesn't matter. It's like talking to a brick wall. They just hate Dak Prescott, don't believe in him. And the thing that kills me with this is people will say, I can't wait till he falls on his face so I can laugh at you. Are you a Cowboys fan? Are you saying you want to see our team fail? See, I can see Stephen Willie Beeman, who's an Eagle fan, over here saying that. But when I get Cowboy fans that are saying that, it's like, I thought it was about the star. That you want the star to win. It shouldn't matter what guy is underneath center. If you are a Dallas Cowboy fan, you're rooting for the guys that are out there on that field trying to get a win. Justin, I'll have to know. Wow, I got to look that one up, because if he's got 21 interceptions and 23 fumbles, ouch. Team Dak, there we go. We got a lot of people that screw the Dak haters. There you go, Derek. Team Dak. Say What You Like Sports Podcast. Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight? Eagles equal crap. Ooh, Virginia Finest, you're kind of cold tonight. Well, okay. All right, we're going to get off Dak right now. What we're going to talk about, of course, is we have Randy Gregory applying for reinstatement. 2,000-page report. Has been clean going on 2 years now. Are you in favor of him coming back, or do you think it's time to move on? Thoughts? The good thing, at least, is he's still on his rookie contract. He's basically getting paid peanuts. And I think with Collins getting hurt, that they're going to this is something I actually want to have a discussion with Vash Lombardi. We're going to do a video in the next couple of days or so. Is about our defensive line, which is a spot that I have a big concern with. I like big, fat guys that are athletic. I like a guy who can clog up the middle. What we have basically for the most part, not everybody, but for the most part, our defensive linemen are more like defensive ends. They're kind of like hybrids. They're tall, they're lean, and they're not really that compact. And here's the problem for me. When you're tall, you have a bigger target. It's easier for an offensive lineman, especially when you have a double team to go at you. When you're 6'8", like a David Irving, who has a lot of speed, can move around, which is great. But the problem is when it comes to the running game, and that's where I'm worried. when you have the double teams that are coming at you, when you've got that pulling tackle coming down and hitting you and stuff, you're a big target. And if they can get you in the hips, you're getting blown out of there unless you are a big guy taking up a lot of space. You want a guy who's about 320 to 350, who's about 6 foot tall, because they're low to the ground, they're a smaller target, and their weight is balanced low to the ground. Their center of gravity is down there. But what we have is we have a lot of defensive ends that are very athletic and very quick. So we're going to end up putting in your David Irving sometimes at tackle and rotating. We got a Tyrone Crawford who says his shoulder, no surgery this season, thank God, says it's fantastic. He's feeling really good. At first, I thought that he might be on the chopping block because of his contract, because he's $9.8 million. But at this point, you might as well wait until next year and do something, and then you can kind of use him in the rotation. The reality is, unless they make a move for Earl Thomas or something like that, then you don't really need that much money. You've got all your rookies and stuff signed. You've got a little bit of cash right there if you need to make, unless you're trying to make a move here in the final wave of free agency as training camps get underway and make a move. Although I will say, Odell Beckham, who said he is not going to be playing this year without a new contract, is now going to start showing up for voluntary workouts. So he's kind of changed his tune a little bit. I think somebody's whispered in his ear and said, the Giants aren't doing that. This is a prove-it year for you to see if you can keep yourself clean, act like a solid citizen, and be a teammate as opposed to me. So he's in camp. But interestingly enough, Earl Thomas still isn't. Seahawks haven't heard from him. You check his Twitter, you don't see anything on Twitter. It's almost like he was abducted by aliens. Phase 3 of workouts. We start having 7-on-7 and things. It's coming up this week. 13 fumble. Wow. 23 total fumbles in 28 games. It's amazing, Justin, that nobody talks about that. I've got to look that up for myself. Carson, wow. And now Carson Wentz is going to have the problem of with the knee. Here's what's going to happen. I hate to say this. I tore my ACL. Still don't have an ACL on my left leg. I know a lot of times I say stuff, people are like, you're full of crap. Didn't happen. Last scrimmage of the season, my senior year, on a punt, I got hit in the shoulder with my left leg planted, and my leg went, boo, just like that sideways. Tore the ACL. And that was back in the caveman days where they used to just kind of cut your knee wide open and rip it apart, clean it up, put some big-ass stitches on it, and, 2 years later you might be able to hopefully walk straight. But they had just started using a scope. And what they did was, because they were still new with it, is they went in, put 3 little holes in my knee, had 6 stitches. They went in and they just cleaned up the ACL because they said it was just like 2 mop ends. And they said that maybe the strength of my leg with the knee brace will help to hold it together. Then a few years down the road, you can get a reconstruction. 3 weeks later, I was playing football. True story. The thing that was bad about it, well, I shouldn't have been. There's no way in the world I should have been out there, but it was one of those ones I know. I'm gonna play, man. This is my senior year of high school. I may never get a chance to play again. I'm gonna play. Thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate you saying that I suck ass. But the problem is you kept thinking about the knee. You're playing, and somebody get close to the knee, and you kind of jump, kind of pull your leg out of it, and you're playing kind of scared because you don't want to get that thing hurt. What I found out is when you play like that, generally speaking, you get hurt. You have to play with a reckless abandon. And you're going to start feeling it doing things that it doesn't normally do. Carson Wentz wants to get out there day one in the same way that RG3 wanted to get back out there and be all in. he's going to have to change the style of football that he's used to playing. And that's what I kind of had to learn to do too. Some of the things I could do before, couldn't quite do as well. He's going to be wearing a brace to start the season. He may end up having to wear a brace the whole season, which means his mobility isn't going to be there like it was before, which was part of his game. So now you're readjusting. Now here's the bad part for him. As you're adjusting and changing up, you're going to have some bad games in there. You're going to have some bad passes as you learn to throw with that leg in the brace and things like that. And with the Eagle fans are as fickle, if not more fickle, than we are. If he has a bad game or two, you know, all those fans that have been wanting a Super Bowl for 52 years, they're going to be looking on the sidelines just like we are about Mike White right now. They're going to say Nick Foles. And here's another interesting thing because we're talking about the Eagles. One of the reasons why I say it's so hard to repeat is because when you go to the Super Bowl, you're playing a month longer than everybody else. So think about this. Tyron Smith, bad back and all that, shut it down week 16. That gave him 6 weeks of time to heal while the Eagles were still playing. And see what you're seeing right now, you're still hearing about, Eagle player here just has surgery, an Eagle player here with a nagging injury. You have a shorter off season to get yourself together. You don't have much time for your body to heal. And that's one of those things that everybody except for New England this affects. I don't understand why it hasn't affected New England. Maybe it's partially because they got a division that sucks. Or that they sold their soul to the devil. I don't know what it is, but they're just not human. But generally speaking, when you look at, say, Seattle, who every year was in the playoffs, they're in the Super Bowl and stuff, it's like playing an extra season on your body. Guy may still be 27, 28, but he's got the body now of a 30-year-old because of that playoff intensity football and those shortened seasons. So you've got the Eagles now with the shortened season. You've got a lot of new players that you brought in. You got some ones that want to get paid and some of that have left. And you've got injuries that are going through the offseason. So it makes it that much harder. And you got a little bit tougher schedule as well. Well, thank you, Eric. I appreciate you being a fan of the show and stuff. Yeah, but here's the thing, though, Thomas. You've already got Carson Wentz wanting to hurry up and get back out there. Do you think if he got benched, how is he going to feel? And then you're going to have people that are going to look and say, wait. I'm a Wentz guy. No, I'm a Foles guy. All of a sudden, you got a divided locker room. Could happen. Then you bring in guys like Michael Bennett, okay, who's dealing with the trial down in Houston. And now we hear about Jay Ajayi, or maybe we don't really hear about Jay Ajayi, who after the Super Bowl trashed a mansion. You know, when Dez Bryant supposedly trashed the house that he lived in for several years, all over the news, Dez Bryant trashed his house and everything else. Well, Jay Ajayi is getting sued for, I think, $25,000 or something like that for trashing a house. And there's other instances that are with Philadelphia and stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be a little harder. It's not going to be like these Eagle fans think that it's going to be Super Bowls every year now that we finally cracked the top. Do we have a giant troll in the house? You know, it's amazing that the cockroaches are beginning to come back out. Oh, Michael, you know what? I am high on Michael Gallup. When you start looking at Jimmy, you start looking at some of the college tape on him. He is the real deal. I'm looking forward to, his best, the hitch route is his favorite route, his best route. And that just so happens to be Dak Prescott's favorite, best route as well. So I think that that's going to be a great combination. And everybody who thinks that because we don't have Dez Bryant, you don't have Dez Bryant, the number one, wide receiver and things. Think about 2016. Cole Beasley had almost as many yards in 2016 as Dez did this past year, but we had more success on the field. He had about 830 some yards. Dez Bryant had close to that. Jason Witten had 600 some odd yards. Terrence Williams had 600 or 700. So you had everybody was all about the same. It was wide receiver by committee. It was whoever is open, and that's what's winning football for the Cowboys. The Cowboys, take a look at their history. Take a good look. Everybody talks about Roger Staubach, and everything else, and Drew Pearson. But don't forget about that doomsday defense that was there. They didn't call them doomsday for nothing. That defense played lights out. They gave the ball on short field for the offense. They made stops when they needed to when the game was on the line. Take a look at Troy Aikman. The triplets get all the notoriety, but they had a number 1 ranked defense. So when you look at Cowboys right now and Dak Prescott and Tony Romo and stuff, the defense hasn't been that part of the formula. We've had the running game now. We've had the offensive line. We've had good enough quarterback play, but we have to get our defense to step up. And the defense has gotten better. Everybody talks about the Dallas Cowboy defense, and again, this is the talking heads with their narrative that the Cowboys don't have a Super Bowl caliber defense. Okay. You could say that in 2013. 2013 was awful, and that's when we had DeMarcus Ware even. We had Jason Hatcher with 11 sacks. But we were 32nd in defense. 2014, without Sean Lee, who was injured, tore his knee, DeMarcus Ware left, Jason Hatcher left. We moved up to 19. Not earth-shattering. But the thing that defense did was it got the ball. They were second in the NFL in takeaways. All of a sudden, look what happened with Tony Romo. 12-4, number 1 seed. We lose the catch, no catch. So those things are things that contributed to Tony Romo having a great season. Since then, 2015, defense moved up to 17th ranked. 2016, I believe we moved to, I want to say 15th in yards given up. I might be wrong on that, get a double check. But last year, believe it or not, we were 8th in yardage given up. We were 12th in points. And we were 18th in takeaways. The takeaways number is what has to move up, but your defense is not that far away. And take in consideration, you want to get my opinion on who you think was better, Antonio Gates or Jason Witten? Ooh, damn. Consistency-wise, I have to say Jason Witten, but as a game breaker, you got to take Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates was a much better deep threat in my mind. But that's a hard debate right there. Run the ball, play action, yes. Well, Steph, I think actually I'm saying 11-5, Stephanie. But you're 100% right. If we can end up running the ball effectively, and from what I've seen of Tyron Smith, I know it's not, we don't have pads or anything on, but Tyron Smith to me looks like he's lost a few pounds, and he looks like he's in fantastic shape right now. I put a clip yesterday on one of my videos, and he looks really good. Now, we'll see how the back holds up, because it's one of those things that, I've got a bad back, and I can be moving bags of cement no problem, and I can turn around and grab this pin, and all of a sudden my back just locks up. So hopefully we don't have that problem. But I believe we made a lot of improvement in depth on the offensive line. We won't go from Tyron Smith to Chaz Green. And that's going to be key. That is the difference from the Cowboys to, say, a New England. New England always has depth, guys that can turn to when their starters go down, because you're going to lose people. We just have not had those guys. We beat Nick Foles. Okay. Well, one other thing too on yeah, Dak does have more touchdowns than Wentz and Foles. The haters will say, well, Wentz, he missed games last year and so on. 53 years and one Super Bowl. Catch up. I like that. Virginia's finest. Oh, wow. Let me make sure I show that Brethren 1, 2, 3, 4 wants to know if me and the crew will be coming down to Atlanta in November to see Dak sacked almost 10 times again. Yeah, I think actually, just because you said that, brethren, I think I'm definitely going to come down there. But, Matt Ryan didn't exactly. Let me double check my numbers here because what's interesting is Matt Ryan just got that $100 million contract extension or guaranteed money. And I want to double check here because I believe Dak Prescott had more touchdown passes than Matt Ryan. Am I wrong on that? Matt Ryan, 20 touchdown passes for Matt Ryan and 12 interceptions. My crappy quarterback, as you guys like to say, had 2 more touchdown passes, plus 6 rushing touchdowns, more than Matt Ryan. Go figure. Kind of funny, isn't that? But yeah, we definitely might be making that game. Jay Cook, I am with you. I am actually excited about the defense. I am still concerned about the defensive line. I still believe we need at least more depth with our safeties. I feel great about our corners. I think our corners, just from having a year of experience, is going to be a good thing. The Chris Richard effect, I think, is going to be good because taking, say, Byron Jones, who's gone from cornerback to safety, is now starting all over at cornerback, and having Chris Richard basically strip all that stuff he's done in the past and take him from Jump Street. I think that our cornerbacks are going to be fantastic. Take a shot for Joe Boo. Well, I'm not going to take Joe Boo's shot, but let's get rid of his coffee cup here. Thank you for reminding me. Don't want to get Joe Boo pissed off here. But Chris Richard, I think, is going to do wonders with the defense. Don't get me wrong. Rod Marnelli is a genius when it comes to defensive line. He has done more with less than anybody else, and I would love just have him focus on the defensive line. Look, just take the guys that we have and make that a bunch of crazed dogs. Get us a pass rush. Get us guys that are playing lights out in the run. And let Chris Richard take care of the back end right there, because I believe Chris Richard is the defensive coordinator in waiting. Dallas has short and slow CBS. You mean cornerbacks? Okay. Yeah, okay, brother. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that much. 6 times playoffs. And how many playoff games did he win? Because before the Super Bowl run, I believe he was Tony Romo and lost every playoff game he was in. The Cowboys, okay, well, here's the thing. Dak Prescott was only there 2 of those years, and he was there 1 of them. I just gotta love it. We have Atlanta Falcon haters in here. I mean, I can understand Eagle haters. I can understand Giant haters because we're in the same division. We have to go get one from Atlanta. Let me clap for you. HF 209, I'm with you on that one. It's amazing because we have almost as many fans from other teams as we do from Cowboys. They are looking at the kickoff rules, which will be interesting. I'll be honest with you. You can change kickoff rules, but if you don't change punting is where you're really getting killed. Say, man, on ideas how Scott Linehan can improve. Well, getting a little more creative. Change things up. Stop being so predictable. One of the good things I think actually happened is getting Paul Alexander, as well as changing up the running back coach, as in, getting some of these other coaches. I think what you're going to get is, one, you're going to get things taught to players and maybe they'll learn some new stuff, but you'll also get some coaching that's going up. You'll get guys that have a different set of, values or ways of doing things from another team and say, hey, let's try da-da-da-da-da because we did this and it worked real well. And I think that will end up helping Scott Linehan coach the game. And I think the Cowboys have realized that. I think after 2016, they thought, we got the winning formula. We got the best line in football. We got the best running back. Don't change a thing. We don't need to. Get Dak Prescott in the same system back-to-back years exactly. Just do what we're doing. Dez Bryant, jump ball, run the ball, boom. Problem was, other teams figured it out. You had a change up on the offensive line. Doug Free apparently was better than you thought. Ron Leary definitely was better than you thought. So it took time for that offensive line to get together. Your defense, you didn't get the impact from the draft that you did the year before. And when you wiped away and got rid of all your cornerbacks that you drafted couldn't get on the field because of hamstring issues. So collectively, Scott Linehan will be better, A, if he has Zeke Elliott all 6 games, B, that the offensive line is better, and C, if he actually changes some things up and realize Dak Prescott is best outside of the pocket. Dak Prescott is deadly accurate on the move. If you're getting 8 men in the box, you end up going Zeke Elliott. You're running him to the left. You go ahead and do a naked bootleg to the right, and I guarantee you everybody's going to get sucked in on that defense because they're worried about stopping Zeke Elliott. You've got Dak Prescott with a great field of vision, and you got one-on-one coverage with your wide receivers. And he will, boom, hit whoever's open. Or you end up doing run option pass, where you start using some of the athletic skills of his. And that's also going to end up getting defenses worried about, do we cover the receiver or do we need to come up and get Dak? And it's like a no-win situation. If you come up to have to get Dak Prescott because you got 8 men in the box, you're leaving the wide receiver open, he's going to hit him, and boom, it's 6. So all of these things collectively will actually make things go better. Here's the reality. Look at the first half of the season. Zeke Elliott wasn't running as well as he did the year before. Yet, first half of the season, Dak Prescott got the majority of his touchdown passes. The offense was still clicking. Dak Prescott was actually carrying the team in that Green Bay game and some of the other early games. The offense was working, even though the offensive line wasn't quite there. But once you lost Tyron Smith and you ended up taking that offensive line down another notch, and when you lost Zeke Elliott, you took it down even further, it just wasn't going to work. Had you had a healthy Tyron Smith and you had a Zeke Elliott, we've been in the playoffs with what Scott Linehan did last year. And that's going to be another one too, Calvin. Alfred Morris played well, actually had better yards per average than Zeke Elliott did, but he was not that change of pace back. Lance Dunbar in 2015 until he got hurt. Lance Dunbar was an incredible athlete and an incredible change of pace back with Run DMC. We didn't have that guy on the roster. So basically it was just bludgeoning people to death. When you brought in Alfred Morris, it's still bludgeoning people. It was basically the same type of a style that you had with Zeke Elliott, but just not as quality of a back. Getting Austin back in there is going to give you, you're not going to, I know they're talking about 20 plays a game and all that, or get him the ball 20 times a game. That's not going to happen. But getting him back there, he is going to be able to be a back out of the backfield. He's got a lot more speed than your Zeke Elliott. And when you've been in there trying to stop Zeke, you've got that offensive line pounding on you. Now all of a sudden you've got a swing pass on the outside and you've got to chase him. You're wearing out defenders. And you're going to end up making great plays and stuff. It's a change of pace, and that's that 1-2 punch that we didn't have as well last year. Last year was kind of the perfect storm of us having things that killed us. There were so many things that killed us. You had the offensive line. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good.
There's Michael Anthony
There's
Fitness.
a video out about Jalen Smith practicing without his
Oh, well, I haven't even touched on Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith, but
it just came out, but I'm going to put it on my page.
Okay. There were so many things that just went wrong last year that had any of them not, we would have been okay. You had, of course, Tyron Smith getting hurt. You had the change in the offensive line.
I know it's not a game, but he looks good without that brace.
We'll see. And they're talking about him. He's definitely not practicing with the brace on. They're not sure if he's not going to be wearing it during games and stuff.
I mean, right now he looks good without it, but it's not a game.
And he still has.
It's not a game.
Yeah, we're talking about practice, not a game. Talking about
But
practice.
as of right now, it's better than it did
Don't you
last
love it when somebody just comes in and just messes up with your whole flow and your conversation?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because here's what's funny. If he's live streaming or doing something, I say, "Hey, Mike, I'm live streaming, man." That's like, ooh.
I'm sorry.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
I
didn't know. Put a sock on the door, man, so I know you're occupying the space.
It's not. But this relates to what you're doing, though.
Yeah, but I had a flow here.
No, you keep going.
But the reality is saying, man, that if we had things perfect, and that's the problem that we have with Scott Linehan, if we had things perfect, it would have worked for us. We're still 9-7, as bad as we were. It wasn't like we were 4-12. We were 9-7. Had we won one more game, we would have been in the playoffs. However, you now got a stud for guard. You now have your tackle in the same position 2 years in a row. Be quiet, Michael. Anita said, okay, you now have backups if you lose guys. You now have Zeke Elliott not worrying about, am I going to play this week? Am I going to be suspended? And going back and forth to New York. You got Dak Prescott past the sophomore slump. The offense should be ready to rock and roll. Yes?
Oh, never mind.
What?
I was admiring your sign.
Okay, yeah. That was from Anita. That's right. So whenever we're live streaming, we're on. Boom. Or do I need to put that like on the door so that way when you're live streaming, we know? No, I think I actually like it right here behind me here. I may end up getting you to do me another one. So it says Joe Boo Cowboys. Yeah. But anyway, I think our offense is going to be okay. That's one of the reasons why I'm excited for the offense. The defense, I'm actually feeling pretty good about as well. I think the defense, which has been getting every year better, a little bit better. The thing I am hoping and praying is the Chris Richard input. If he can get our back end anywhere near the Legion of Boom. Michael, are you live streaming after me?
Yeah, till 1 o'clock.
Yeah, Sandman. Yeah, so go ahead and open up another bottle. Sandman is out in the heat. Him and his wife sweating it out and getting tipsy. So he said he's going to be live streaming after.
I like his comments, though, because he writes almost like a story, a little 2 or 3 paragraphs.
You know what? I'm going to come busting on in here.
Hey.
While he's live streaming. Maybe I'll just come streaking through. Why did Rod Malley pass on a late game? Get a pass on? Why did Rod Martinelli get a pass on late game calling? Well, our defense. The problem with our defense is we haven't had all the horses, and we just basically get tired, boss. Who gets the most receptions? I think Hearns is going to be the number one, but I think Gallup is going to be playing a lot. I tell you what, if it's me, I'm hoping that everybody gets the same amount. Everybody gets about 65 to 70. Where we're passing the ball around, where we've got 6 guys that are catching passes. That's what I actually hope for. I'm not looking for, somebody to have 120 receptions. If we are focusing in on just one guy, I'm telling you, then we're going to have problems. Yeah, everybody loves the sign. I appreciate it.
That's a dope sign.
Justin, I'm definitely going to check that out as soon as I get off on here. Because if that's the case, I am going to go ahead and I will be doing a nice video on that one there and talking about 23. 23 fumbles in 28 games. That's unbelievable. What do you? What's
I
this?
think it's on backwards.
It's not backwards. Oh, it is backwards.
No, don't fix it.
Yeah,
Keep
it is backwards. Okay, but yeah, it is. I got it. Okay. I put it up just before the show. Okay. Forgive me. Children today are just rude. They're definitely going to be Thomas doing it by committee, and I'm happy by that. I am happy that we will be working the ball around because anytime I say anything about Dez Bryant, people go ballistic. But I'm telling you that with Dez Bryant, you had to get him the ball to make sure that his head is in the game. And defenses know that you're trying to get Dez Bryant involved early. And I'm telling you, that also made the team more predictable. And when people say that Dak Prescott can't hit the open man, take a look at 2016 and look at Cole Beasley going in the slot there. Ball right here without him losing a step, not slowing down, literally, boom, the ball is right there. That ball was, take a look at Jason Witten there and having the ball, literally, one-handed catch in the end zone. It's not a matter of him not being able to do it. It's a matter of getting the timing down and being in the situation and having, not having the pressure and stuff. I believe Dak Prescott will be fine. Dak Prescott is going to be a gamer, and this offense is going to be just fine. Well, thank you, Jackie. I appreciate you showing up. You are definitely one of my greatest fans, you and Sarah. Can't wait to get back to Dallas and see you two again. Well, and that's another one of those things, Jimmy, that I kind of have a beef with our coaching staff is they are so tied to the system. This is the system. This is what we're going to do, and we're going to make you fit that system. But sometimes you don't have people that fit the system, and you have to kind of change up some things. I think in 2015, that was the problem with the offense is we basically said, this is the offense Tony Romo runs, and guys, when he went out, this is the offense that we run with Tony Romo runs. But Matt Castle and Brandon Whedon weren't Tony Romo, so you couldn't run it the same way. And in the same sense, you're trying to do the same thing you did with Tony Romo that you are, with Dak. And the problem is Dak has different strengths and weaknesses. Like I've said, Dak Prescott's got legs. Dak Prescott can take a hit. Dak Prescott is better on the outside. So hopefully they've learned that lesson. Hopefully they realize we've got to change some things up. We've got to be better with fundamentals, and we've got to do better with keeping guys healthy. I am so tired of hamstring pulls. Does anybody have as many hamstring pulls as our Dallas Cowboys? I don't think we do. Dak to the future. I love that. Exactly, Jackie. Support the Cowboys. Have a great weekend, of course, Jackie. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in for our live stream. Without you guys, man, Friday night wouldn't be half as much fun. It's getting to that slow time of the season right now. We've got phase 3 of OTAs where we'll start doing 7-on-7s and things. But, the draft is over for the most intents and purposes. Free agency is over. We've got the cuts and stuff on there. It's going to be kind of slow here until we start picking it up in July. But it's all good. Hopefully seeing you guys on Monday and Friday nights will help me get me through to the season, and I can't wait till the season starts. I think we're going to have a great season, and I can't wait to get it going. Hope all of you guys have a great weekend. Be safe out there with this crazy weather, and I will see you guys on Monday.